Hey, good morning, everyone, and maybe good afternoon to some folks. I just want to share that I'm thankful for PTV. I attended my first PTV user group meeting last year in New Orleans. It's great. I appreciate all that you do. And as a new user of PTV software, specifically Bistro, I appreciated listening and having the opportunity to meet the presenters and the veteran users of the PTV softwares, as well as the PTV team. So it is reassuring that we had chosen a reliable, I think, widely used and trustworthy transportation software for our agency needs. And I honestly mean that. Bill didn't pay me, no one paid me for that remark. So thank you, PTV, for hosting this event and continuing to support users, like even in these difficult times. So I really appreciate that. Let me see. Okay, I'm trying to advance my screen and it's frozen. How about there? So a little bit about VTA. We're both the transit authority and service provider, as well as a congestion management agency. You can see some of the stats and data about us. We operate bus, light rail, and paratransit. We're a funding partner in regional rail heavy service, such as the Bay Area Rapid Transit, also known as BART, Caltrain, Capital Corridor, and Altamont Express. And as a congestion management agency, we are responsible for countywide transportation planning, including the Silicon Valley Express Lanes or Managed Lanes program. We also design and construct highway, pedestrian, and bicycle improvement projects. And we also have a transit-oriented development program, as well as we're also a funding sales tax authority. And in the next couple slides, I'll just provide some visual context about VTA as both a public transit service provider and as a CMA. So as you can see, some general facts. We have a light rail system, about 42 miles of track with 59 stations. BART is our most recent heavy rail project that has 131 system miles with 50 stations, but including a new 15-mile extension with 2 stations here in Santa Clara County. That's in the cities of Milpitas and San Jose, and that just opened up last year. We also support other commuter heavy rail service, such as like ACE, Capital Corridor, have a combined system of 305 miles of track. We also have a paratransit service with nearly 100 minivans, and we have a bus fleet of about 460 buses, as well as nearly 4,000 bus stops and 50 routes. So I do want to point out, let me bring my cursor here, that we do have some creative talent here in Silicon Valley. I believe it's like a student intern designed this Charlie Brown gang themed light rail and bus wraps for our local amusement park known as Great America. So a lot of good talent down here. And here I just want to show, visually show some of our congestion management program. Once again, we have an express lanes program. We have a bicycle and pedestrian expenditure plan that helps supports our local cities in implementing complete streets, especially the green bike lanes, and which I'm sure you're seeing all over the nation. We also help fund major bike and ped projects, once again, such as building bridges across the freeways. This is a bicycle and pedestrian bridge. And then we also have a 2016 Measure B sales tax program, which funds all of these transportation areas, as well as we have a highway program and a land use development review and transit-oriented development programs. So here's some general information about where we are and where we're located, some basic demographics, including some stats about our roadway network. We have a population of about 1.9 million people, employment of about 1 million. We have about 50,000 major employers, and the number of street miles that we have, local streets, about 290 miles. urban highways, 190 miles. And what's unique to Santa Clara County, and just based on my general travel experience, we have expressways here, and I'll show that in the next slide. So here is the expressways are located here. They actually operate as urban highways. They're about like 8 lanes across and helping traffic move from east-west and north-south. So we have like about 7 expressways in the county. So this slide is about outdated, about 10 years. Just want to show some of the major trip generators here in Santa Clara County. And having a strong employment base and economy does come with some unintended consequences, and that's traffic congestion. So we do our best here to mitigate for congestion through better planning by coordinating both land use and transportation into our communities, which is the purpose of our project. We'll explain in the next few slides. So about Santa Clara County's CMP intersection network. So here's the reason for our need to have an approved traffic analysis software. I mean, unique to California, State Statute 65089 requires congestion management agencies like VTA as a recipient of gas tax funds to conduct level service analysis of CMP roadways every 2 years. So this is to ensure that the county and its cities and towns are developing programs to maintain a required standard level of service E. So in 1990, the California legislature enacted a CMP program to implement Proposition 111. This is a statewide transportation funding proposal that required local governments to implement mitigation measures to offset the impacts from new developments on the regional transportation system. And the goal was to link, once again, land use, transportation, and air quality decisions at the regional and local levels. So I do want to highlight here, it states that the statute states that we need to use the most recent version of the highway capacity manual or a uniform methodology. And currently the software that we're using is outdated because it cannot use HCM 2010 and like HCM 6th edition calculations cannot do that. So here's a map of our 252 CMP intersection network. These intersections were identified in the late 1990s. That was before my time. That would be monitored every other year. So essentially, these intersections serve as performance indicators for measuring how well we are planning communities and managing congestion and air quality. And once again, I highlight this is unique to counties in California, as I understand that not many states have the same environmental laws and congestion management regulations like we do. So here's a partial list of our guiding documents, and highlighted guidelines specifically identifies the traffic analysis software that we must use for analyzing transportation impacts, primarily for land use development projects in Santa Clara County. And the key reason is to maintain some level of integrity and consistency of the data reports or in the TIAs, especially when developments such as those are projected to generate 100 more peak hour trips, like mixed-use retail apartment buildings or popular grocery store chain like Trader Joe's or a popular fast food chain like In-N-Out Burgers. And if they are located near jurisdictional borders, that may cause congestion in nearby residential communities in adjacent jurisdictions. Everyone loves these new developments, but nobody wants the traffic, right? It's better if residents, they like driving to another city to do their shopping and then come back to the residential neighborhood. And being in California, where anyone can sue everyone for anything, including cities, so having a consistent methodology that we can all approve can minimize the scrutiny of the methodologies used in the TIAs. So here's a screenshot of the table of contents from our level service guidelines, just to show the analysis procedures that we follow, including the use of a specific traffic analysis software. Once again, we're currently using traffic, but we will be transitioning to Bistro. So here's our need, our impetus for a new traffic analysis software. The current software that we're using is obsolete, it's no longer supported, and it does not support new methodologies like UGM2020 and UGM6 edition. So we have a need for new traffic analysis software. It's routinely used by not only VTA, but member agencies and the consultants when they're doing transportation impact analysis for new developments. It's used biannually in our CMP monitoring reports, and it's intended to provide like reliable, consistent data, as I mentioned earlier. So this is how we chose Bistro and the PTV team. We had a multi-agency evaluation, so we have what we call member agencies who actually pay membership dues to VTA to assist in their transportation needs. And we have 16 agencies. And we looked over, examined like 3 softwares, we decided we needed an ability to create comprehensive reports, like our current software, of existing conditions, existing project conditions, as well as like the cumulative conditions with background and project conditions. It needed to be compatible with current methodologies. And we wanted some flexibility to add customized software features, which PTV was willing to accommodate, and they saw value in incorporating into Bistro into their main software. And that was the ability to set saturation flow rates. And the reason for this, sorry for this misspelling there, but is that we understand that the consultants, work for their respective clients. And of course, on their end, they're trying to minimize the mitigations that would come at the time of conditions of approval for developments. So by having consistent saturation flow rates that we use throughout the county, it would kind of prevent some of the tweaking of the numbers, if you will, that consultants would use. So we want to maintain some level of integrity there. And they also added a right turn on red percentage functions. I know that outside of California, many states require drivers to actually stop on red until the until the signal turns to green. That's not the case here. Of course, we have a lot of rolling California stops where rarely does anyone stop anymore. They just keep going. But we are able to add that function in there, and that's to represent a realistic conditions of what's happening out there. And we also had an independent evaluation by a consultant. And they also concluded that Bistro was the better product for our needs. So we also like the versatile use in PTV's multimodal macroscopic and microscopic simulation softwares, Visum and Visim, that there is a seamless integration between Bistro and their modeling softwares in their suite of softwares that they have. And most of all, our agencies told us this, they offer a convenient software license as a seat versus an individual PC. And for those of you that, I'm just going to say that have Synchro, you understand what we mean, how difficult it is when, especially as a public agency, and maybe even in consultants, when staff changes, that the license is stuck with the laptop. Okay. So with this slide, I'm going to over to Natalia.
All right. Thank you, Eugene. Can you hear me all right?
Sound great.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this slide shows our CMP intersection network file in Traffics. As you can see, it's built using a simple graphic interface of links and nodes to represent the roadway network. The use of this software was adopted by VTA in 1997 and is still currently used Traffic will be retired next year because of the limitations of not having the ability to incorporate the new HCM methodologies as required by our CMP statute, and the software itself is no longer supported. The current calculations are based on the HCM 2000 methodologies. In general, traffic software enables transportation planners and engineers to complete 5 major tasks: conduct traffic impact and medium-sized citywide traffic forecast studies, rapidly forecast the traffic impacts of new developments, calculate levels of service at critical signalized and unsignalized intersections and on arterials, interactively test different mitigation measures, and determine traffic impact fees for the individual development projects. Next slide, please. Thank you. With the assistance of PTV technical team, the traffic network file was exported and uploaded into Vistro, which has more features, including the ability to use the latest HCM methodologies like UGM2020 and UGM6 to show more realistic traffic conditions. For instance, incorporate movement like a right turn on red. Vistro also has the ability to set default saturation rates for the countywide consistent application purposes. Next slide. So here's a close-up screen of a sample intersection in traffics. And next slide. And here's the screenshot of the same intersection in Vistro. So it's pretty obvious that Vistro offers more detailed features, especially on the lane geometry and speed, and clearly better graphics and ability to use a background map such as Bing or OpenStreetMaps. So next slide. So no project is without its challenges. In our situation, the key challenge was transferring and integrating a data file from one software platform to another. Also, because of the large number of stakeholders and 252 intersections that we have, it took time for us to review, verify, and edit the lane geometries and orientations of all the intersections along the state highways because of the different roadway orientation conventions. Also, because of COVID-19, as we all know, there is now a delay in obtaining current volume counts to upload into new Vistro network. So we're unable to use the different scenarios, trips assignment, distributions, and signal optimization features unless we decide to use the data from our 2018 monitoring report. As for our project status, we just released the RFP to hire a consultant to conduct the monitoring counts next fall. And we're planning to update our LOS and TIA guidelines to include the use of Vistro for the traffic analysis. And hopefully we'll start around July 2021. So back to you, Eugene.
All right, thank you, Natalia. So just the last 2 slides here. I wanted to share that we have submitted a capital project request through our internal budget review process for the next fiscal year to build a countywide intersection network model in Basum that would include all 2,000 local intersections signals onto a single software platform. And this was like the urban mobility platform that I believe Adam was talking about earlier. And the purpose of this is that whenever we have like multiple projects in our county, the consultants always start with a scratch platform. So rather than recreating all of the data, we would want to share this platform with all of our cities and all of the consultants. And as they add their projects onto this platform, we would so-called warehouse that at VTA, so we could stitch together a true countywide traffic analysis intersection model on a single platform instead of using one platform and another, because regardless of when you use data softwares, you're going to end up with slightly different results. And that's kind of the issue that we have here in Santa Clara County, and maybe others have experienced the same thing. It's like, well, in my report, the impact shows this because I use this software. And then, another agency will say the same thing, but because they're using a different set of software. So our current practice is to make physical improvements to the roadway controllers and transit service. And we evaluate these changes kind of independent of each other without evaluating the holistic effects to all mobility, to all modes at the county level. So optimizing traffic flow for all modes, including increased safety for pedestrians, especially entering intersections, such as our light rail and our bus station with leading head interval signal timing measures. This will be an ongoing challenge without the use of a single software platform. And according to ITE, we have the ability, if you can optimize traffic progression for all modes, you can gain about 10 to 12% in efficiency. And also, this project will complement our current CMP efforts of monitoring and managing and implementing projects to improve traffic flow on the major transit corridors, and along with our Caltrans urban highway intersections. It also provides, once again, consistency in data sharing and efficiency in reducing redundant work and cost to agencies. We'd rather see consultants spend their efforts in the analysis of alternatives rather than building, spending their time in setting up and describing the existing conditions. So we're trying to reduce that effort. And with that, that concludes our presentation, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And Bill, how are we doing on time?
Splendidly. Excellent job, Eugene and Natalia. Thank you so much. We have 3 minutes still. If there are any questions, please feel free to type those into the chat box. I'm not currently seeing any new questions for this particular presentation yet. I will vote, Eugene, that it's because you explain things so perfectly. That's I like to look at it. But it was a very thorough presentation and really a nice example of a very large scale Vistro implementation. And so we appreciate you guys.
Yeah. If I can just add on the public agency side, when trying to procure software, it's a big challenge. And for those, if there's anyone on the public agency side, you understand what I mean. It's not very sexy, if you will. There's no cutting when you put a model together. So it is a tough sell, and we appreciate PTV's support on that. And hopefully they'll see benefits at the end once our model is fully built out.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of questions filtered in. I don't know that we'll have time to answer them completely, but one question, and you did mention a bit about the hiring consultant for review, but the question was, was there a comparison between, maybe results using different softwares that, comparing results and what process?
Yes.
You could just talk about that process a little bit. And the second one that kind of folds into the process question would be more like how, roughly an idea, such a large network, what type of time frame were you experiencing for that conversion?
Okay, so the first question I can answer quickly is that yes, we took a sample TIA and we ran it through several softwares, and the consultant reported on the results. They're all fairly close, but Vistro best matched our needs overall, and that's how we decided on that in terms of evaluating the different softwares out there. And I'm sorry, the second question again?
I think it was timing.
It's probably going to be about 2 years, 1.5 years. For
a full implementation, but the network conversion went quicker. So each case is different, and you guys had quite a large network to transition over. So, all right, well, with that, and to try to hold, as I mentioned during our dry runs, I like to use the bus example, and since you guys are also a transit agency, it's well fitting Thank you for ending on time. Otherwise, by the end of the day, we have 3 buses on the same line that stop at the same stop simultaneously. So Eugene, Natalia, thank you again. We really appreciate you guys coming and hope you enjoy the rest of the user group meeting.